Good morning, everyone. This is Jann, and today I'm going to continue our little Bob Ross little series here on oil painting. And he also has a kit that is a yellow iris. And instead of buying the kit, I already have all the colors for that kit, and I went ahead and watched the video that they have on their website for painting the iris, and I put a little pattern here on the iris. Now they did 2 irises, and I found a pattern that is just for 1 iris. And this is a 9x12 canvas panel. Now if you're buying canvas panel, the Arteza brand right here, this is a 9x12 premium. These are really wonderful canvases. They're very well made. They look nice on the back if you want to give it to someone. They're well constructed. They're very sturdy. You can get them on Amazon too. So anyway, I went ahead and sanded this canvas a little bit with a fine grit sandpaper. I think it's like 150, 180. Sand it first and then go ahead and get a pattern. There's plenty of patterns on, you can Google iris images or iris outlines or iris color book outlines, and it will give you outlines of different flowers that you want to paint. Just be sure that they're copyright free and you're not infringing upon another artist's work and pattern. Okay, and there's plenty of them that are free on there. So I went ahead and got my pattern on with some graphite paper. Don't use pencil. Pencil will smear with you. It'll just get everywhere. It'll smudge everywhere. Use your Floral. I think it's S-A-R-A-L. I said E-L the other day. I don't have it right here. I mean, I have it, but not the box that it comes in. But anyway, that's what you would use. You can get that on Amazon also. Now, the colors we're going to use are sap green, cad yellow, and ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and the soft white. And we're mostly going to be using this little 1/2-inch flat brush right here that you get in the kit. The first kit comes with a fan brush, and you can use the fan brush. It's very soft. You can use it as a blender brush whenever you want to blend your strokes. Also comes with a round brush, and I like to use these round brushes when I'm sketching in outline for your flower whenever you're putting it in. And also comes with a little liner brush here, and that's real good when you want to go ahead and do your stamens and your detail outlining work. Okay, that all comes in your kits. If you want to get a kit first, if you don't have any oil paints, that's a good place to start. You can either get the Floral kit for probably about $8 more than what you would pay for individual kits, so you might want to keep that in mind. And it has a pretty little floral puppies that you can paint on there. I think I showed it the other day, the little pattern and painting and instructions that you get on that. So decide what you want to use as far as your supplies here, and you will also need I use a disposable palette. Now this is colors that I used yesterday when I did my roses. These colors are still good. They're still wet, and I just had them out in the open. They'll stay wet for a couple of days, then they'll start to kind of crust over a little bit. Now we're also going to be using the liquid opal oil paint. This is a thin down paint that we do for the background, which is really nice. It's kind of like the liquid white, only it's tinted in a soft lavender. Love that for the florals. That's a beautiful color. And it'll also come with your Bob Ross painting oil medium, and you need that, and I put that just in a little cup here. to use throughout the painting. And also you will need to get some odorless thinner, and I just have a little jar here, a little brush cleaner jar. You can get these on Amazon. You can get them with a screen or get them with a sponge, okay? And you can use either one that you want to use. I used this one because it's small and I don't have a large area to put my supplies. I've just got a little 4-foot table here, so I get things that are smaller. And when you get thinner, you can get some thinner that is just a little, let's see, this one here is 4 ounces, and you use, almost 4 ounces of thinner would be fine. You can get that on Amazon too. It won't be very expensive for you. In fact, they have Bob Ross oil painting odorless thinner in the smaller bottles for you there. Make sure you have plenty of paper towels. Now I use the shop towels because they're very absorbent and they're really thick, and that's what I like. And I always keep one right here when I'm painting, because I wipe my brush off on the paper towel. And you use it when you clean your brush. You just pinch it and then pull with it, and that will take excess paint off. I usually don't clean my brush unless I have a dark color and then I'm going into a light color. Otherwise, I just pinch my brush here and get the paint off, and I dirty brush it and go into other colors. I don't use the turp only a couple of times through a painting. Okay, and I think I've listed everything here for you that you're going to need for doing your little kit. So go ahead and put your iris pattern onto your canvas and get all your supplies out. And when we come back, we're going to get started on our iris for you today. All right. Thanks a lot, and I'll be back in a few. Now for the background here, the first thing that I did was put a coat of this opal color right here and put the lavender color all around the iris here. Now I know I have leaves or blade leaves coming up on this iris and a stem and everything, but I didn't want to paint around those. I wanted to mix my leaves in with a wet background so they would be a little bit softer. So I chose to go over the whole bottom of the iris and just leave the iris flower bloom without any color on it, just bare canvas there in a pattern. So the first thing you do is get your 1/2-inch floral, and you just dip into your opal color here, load both sides of it. It's soft enough to where you don't have to use any medium with it. It's like the liquid white. Okay, so you get that color on. Then I have ultramarine blue here, and I just take the corner of the brush, pull out a little bit of color, and move it over here. It's very strong color, so you don't need a lot of paint. And then what I did was, when I started blending this in, instead of digging into the canvas like this and going crissy-crossy, I went ahead and laid the brush flat. See how it's laying flat on my canvas here? Not straight up and down, but flat with color on it, ultramarine blue. And see how that will do a soft stroke for you. And then I went ahead and did crisscross strokes. I wanted this to look like sky back here, real soft sky. I wanted a lot of movement back here. I didn't want it not to have any kind of brush stroke showing. Now if you don't like brush strokes like that, you want it smooth, then you go ahead and make your canvas smooth. You paint it the way that you like. This is the way I like to do my canvas. I want a lot of movement on the backdrop here. So the next thing I wanted to do was go ahead and sketch in where I'm going to put my leaves, my blade leaves. And for that, what I did was I first just wiped my brush, just pinched it, wiped it on the paper towel so that there wasn't excess paint on it. And then I made sure it was in a chisel edge like this, and I came here, let's go down here, that way you can see, and I went ahead and sketched out my leaves, and then I would go ahead and clean my brush both sides, come back, press down, and sketch out where I want the leaves, and it will leave a little softened edge for you, and you can actually outline it just like you were using transfer paper or whatever. So that was the first thing that I did, was I looked at my pattern and I went ahead and I sketched out where I want my leaves to be. Now in their video, they went ahead and they placed the leaves on a dry background, and I didn't want to do that. I want my leaves to be softer, so I want wet paint underneath there. Now the next thing that I did was I went ahead and I took off excess paint in the middle here. So I just took my brush and ran it right up next to that line. See the excess paint on that? And then just wipe it on your paper towel. And then come back in, run it up the other side. I'm pressing down. There's your excess paint. And then wipe it on a paper towel. And I'm cleaning and taking off that excess paint that is on the canvas here. I want it wet, but I don't want a lot of paint behind there because it will be hard to blend. But I still want it slick. So that's what I did. And then you just take your brush along here, and you can see, I can see that it's taking off that top coat of paint there. But it's still leaving a little wet paint there on the bottom. Okay, and then I went ahead and left the little stems so that I know which way I'm going on these whenever I start to paint them. Let me load up a little bit of yellow here. And I'm just going to go right over here so you can see what I'm doing right here. Now if your paint is pulling with you, dip the corner of the brush into just a little bit of medium. Now remember, as we come forward, we're not going to be using as much medium. We don't want our paint as loose as whenever we do our backdrop and everything. So thinner when you start and thicker, and then when you get to your highlights, you're basically going straight out of the tube. Okay? Now let's go ahead, let's do this little leaf right here. So if my highlights are going to be over on this side, come right down. Now as I go over this, I'm going lighter with my stroke. Okay? And then I'm going to load up another load of green, and I think I'm going to dip the corner in a little bit of the medium. The yellow's pretty dry on me. Okay, so we're just double loading, and let's go ahead and let's do this stroke again. Okay, so I can have a little more paint on it. And I'm not pushing down as much. I want that to go right off the canvas. Now I'm going to, best you get the yellow off, and I'm going to go right into the green. Okay, so here we have green. I want that back edge to be green and maybe a little bit of the blue. There we go. So I have a little bit of the dark green. I'm going to take the dark green next to the center and flatten the brush as you go out. Now see, my green or my blue didn't show up, so let's get a little more blue here. Let's get a little more medium. Maybe it was a little bit too dry, especially on the blue side. Let's try that stroke again. So come up. Now flatten. Pull up. Okay, now come back and soften that edge. Now I do like that edge on there. Soften it all. Pull your stroke all the way up, okay? There we go. That's the bottom of the canvas there. And it will have a vein for you. It'll just automatically put a vein for you. Okay, now wipe my brush. Now I'm gonna pinch it, pull that off. Now if you want more yellow, I'm going to leave this because I think I want that blue on there. I do like that blue edgy. I'm just going to soften that edge right here, but I'm going to go ahead and soften it. And it's going to put a little bit of blue in there. Let me go to this side so I can have a little, but at least we have all of our colors, and we can go ahead and block in our iris next. And then once we have everything blocked in, then we'll go ahead and start finishing it out and putting all the other finishing touches on it. Okay, we'll be back in a few. Now the next thing I want to do is outline my iris I have here so that you can see the different petals. That's a different petal back there from the front one here. You have a side one here, a side one here, and another one coming up from the center there. And I have Cad Yellow Light, and I have also put in a little dab of alizarin so that it tones it down a little bit from just the straight yellow. Now I'm going to start back here. I'm blocking in color, and when you block in your color, you want a thin coat. You don't want it right out of the tube. You want to add some medium with it so it's nice, not loose, just thin enough so that you can block in your color here. Now when you're blocking in next to the blue, if you hit the blue, it will probably turn it a little bit green, but that's okay. That's why I outlined it, so it wouldn't be quite as bad with the green, but the green's fine. I mean, we can just blend it right on into the back part. Okay, now here's another. I'm doing all the under petals here. It helps just to do an outline. Then you can just go to the outline and you're not going right into the edge of that and getting more green into your petal there. Nice, clean, smooth coat of paint. Okay, come back. Make sure it's smooth. If it's dragging on you, dip your corner into a little bit of your medium and work it into the brush, and then come back and block in your color. And I'm smoothing it out. I don't want it thick on there. Okay, just smooth it out. Let's do this one here, and I'm gonna like this so I can get some of that paint off of my brush. And you don't have to worry about it drying on you at this point. It's going to stay wet for a couple of days. And I just do my paintings in stages. I did a little bit, and then I got up and fixed some breakfast, and then come back and decided to do some block-in. So I might paint throughout the day on this little painting, because I know when I come back it's still going to be wet for me. I'm going to do this one just a little bit lighter, so I'm going into the white, and I'm going to pull the white into this yellow just so I have a little bit different color here next to the line, next to your outline, so I don't lose that. Let's see, I picked up just a little green, just blend it right back in there. Okay, now let's go ahead and let me pick up a little bit of the white again. Come over here, mix it into the yellow so it's nice and creamy. Now let's go ahead and go up here, come around, and I'm doing it lighter because it's a main petal that's going to be on the front, so it can be lighter than the other ones, and it helps so that I can see it. I don't lose it amongst all these other petals. These petals, this one, and those are kind of behind some of the other ones. So, and we'll lighten these up when we do our overstroking, but this is just the base part. Now once you have this done, just wipe your brush off. In fact, I'm gonna scoop this over, and I am going to pinch it and then wipe it off on the paper towel. Okay, now the next color I want on here is even a deeper tone. I want some of this alizarin with the yellow, like this. I want this deeper, and what we're going to do is we are going to get a little more alizarin in here. That's going to be real pretty with that yellow. Get a little more yellow. My yellow's right out of the tube here, and it's a little bit drier. And what you want to do is, we're going to block in color on the edge here, and then we're going to swoop it up. Okay, so we're going to block it in, but we want to swoop this color up like that so that we can get a blend on it, and it will blend right on up into the iris here. And I'm trying to get the stroke going in the right direction here, the right blend of the direction that you need it in, because this flower is coming in this way. Okay, if I put a little line right there, it's going to pull up from here, and it's going to curl this way. Okay, now a little more of the alizarin. Pick up a little more on my brush here. So this one's going to swoop this way. Okay, I'm not pulling very hard. Now I do want, this is a deep recessed. Okay, I want that darker. This one over here, I want this dark right next to this petal. Okay, let's come back in. And I also want this one's going to come out this way, so we want it to come out this way. Now I finished up the rest of the iris here, and I think I had that one to do, and I had the front one to do here. Okay, again, a real thin coat, and softly blend those colors together. Okay, make sure you lay your brush to the side when you do your blending. Anyway, that's what you're going to do right now, so get that done, and then when you come back we'll start something else. Okay, bye. Now the last thing I want to do before I let this set up overnight and put all the highlights on the flower and the leaves is to go ahead and finish out these petals using a lighter yellow, and I have some mixed up here. This is yellow with white, and as I come through and do the petal strokes, a little bit of the dark goes into this pile here, and it actually makes toned down color. Now this petal here, I did the rest of these petals, and you can see how you have to stroke your petals going into where the center part of this iris is, which is right here. These would come this way, these would go in this way here, these would come down this way, and for this one our stroke is going to go right down into the middle. So I like to do the center one first, that way that kind of gives me a setting for where I want to go. So my brush is loaded up, it is nice and creamy, and I am going to touch up here at the top and flatten my brush out, and I'm just going to pull it right on down to the end here, and then come back on my palette here and dress it into a chisel point. Now I'll go ahead and go next to this stroke, touch, pull, okay, dress it again. Now I'm going to touch, pull, and one more right here. Okay, now I don't want a lot of ridges in that, so I'm going to soften that. Now the stroke over here is the same. I'm going to touch and pull. At this point I'm not making any ruffles or anything right now. That will come whenever we come back and we do the little ruffles on everything. This is just blending the color. Okay, so now I have everything that I need on this done. See, I picked up a little bit of green, and I'm going to leave that green on there because I like the green. I like it to have another color there, because it picked up a little green probably when I went down here to do this petal. So go ahead and get your other petals smoothed down and going in the direction that you need them to go. Now look at your pattern. Your pattern will let you know which way to go to, but they're all pointing down to this center spot here. That's how you're gonna do all of your petals. And you can see that there's really a lot of pretty colors of yellow in here, and when you variate them, when you block in your colors for your iris, that's what creates all these pretty colors that we have. Instead of blocking in your flower with just one main color, this is the way I like to do it, so that it has all these pretty colors in it. When I come back over and I want to do the little ruffles on these petals, these colors will remain on here. It won't take them out or anything, and it'll be really nice and pretty on there. Okay. All right, get that much done, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. Okay, we are about finished with this little iris, and the only thing I did was come in and add darker greens to my leaves because they were a little bit light, and I straightened up this little calyx that the flower blooms out of. Okay, and for that I went ahead and used, I have a little Wildlife Bob Ross brush here, and this one is an 8. It's a flat brush, and I decided to use this one instead of the 1/2-inch brush because the 1/2 is just a little bit too big for what I wanted here. And I mixed up a little bit of white right here, white with a dab of yellow, so it's not, here's your pure white, see the difference to that? So it has some yellow in it, it's actually just a light yellow. And then I made a little pile here of just the cad yellow light here. Now what I want to show you is how to do your ruffles. If you want ruffles on your irises or any kind of flowers, I'm going to show you how to do a ruffle. Now the first thing that you want to do is there's different types of ruffles, and you can use this for any flowers. And what I like to point out is this ruffle here is a Z ruffle, kind of like Zorro, and you're going to go here, here, and here. Okay, so that way you would know which way to come down on your petal. Now I'm not doing a Z one today. We're going to do more like this one right here. And this one here, you have your petal, and then you just come off the side here and you sketch in a little area like that, like I've done right here. See how I sketched a little area? This one here, I sketched a little area, and we're going to do another one right here. Now this is an S ruffle. It's not quite so jagged, and you would just come in and do your little S, and then we would go ahead and do our little ruffle. Now this will make more sense when I start doing it. This painting pad here a little bit. Now you can see. So you can see I'm just going into the paint here, and I want it about right here, okay? So I'm going to take the back corner and I'm going to come up, I'm going to make a loop. Let's see. Now that's not going to stick. I have to have it a lot thicker. Make a little loop, come up, and come right down to right there. So that'll do a little turn back right there. Okay, I'm going to wipe my brush off because I don't want it as soupy. Whenever you start doing highlights and stuff, you want your paint almost straight out of the tube there. Okay, and you're going to do this the same way that you do your ruffles, the bigger ruffles. You know, you're going to touch and you're going to pull in. You can sit on that back corner if you want to, but what I can do is I can go ahead and touch, pull down some, touch, pull down. Now I want a little more edge on that. Touch, pull down, a little more to make sure that that comes off of there. You have to have a pretty good deal of paint right there. Okay, I want one more right here. So see how I have a little ridge there right now of thicker paint? Okay, then I'm just going to wipe my brush off, and then I'm going to pull up a little bit from this edge here. I'm going to soften this a little bit on the bottom. I think I might pick up a little bit of that yellow. See how you can highlight that? I'm straight out of the tube right now. come up and re-highlight that part, because you want it to show up. You want that fold to show up. Okay, then you can go ahead and dress your brush up. Now another thing that would help you, if you do dress both sides, you can touch and go up and then come down. Touch, go up, come down, and that will leave a little edge too. Up, push down, up, push down, up, push down. Okay, and that'll leave a little edge for you too. And then wipe your brush off, and then you can soften that edge. Let's go this way, just a little feather touch on that. Now also, let's see, I have some of this alizarin. Alright, and I'm just mixing a little alizarin right here with my yellow in my brush, and then I can come in and I can add a little yellow to the, or alizarin to the bottom here. Just a minute. Okay, so touch, pull up, touch, pull up, and you can leave a little bit of the darker tone on that. See, like what you have over here. Alright. Now at this point, if you want to go back in, it means you have the dark on it. You'll want to pinch your brush to get that out. Now let me go into a little more white right here. Okay, I'm going to load both sides here. Let me hold this up. I want to come right on around like that. There we go. I want some of these to come down so we can see which way that ruffle's going to go. Okay? And that just goes right into that little calyx there. So that's how you would do a little turned ruffle in your irises. And I just took a brush and I ruffled some of these a little bit lighter in color. You can see down here, I might want to go ahead and put a little more light on that. How about over here? That's going to kind of bleed into it. Okay, now here, especially where you can't see the other one petal from another petal. So you can go back. You can highlight little edges. I think I would like to highlight this edge here so that that one stands out from that one right there. Okay, especially where little areas. Now I kind of lost that one, so I'm going to come back and highlight that. I'm running out of paint here. Let's see, we're right here. There we go. Put a stronger highlight. See how now that shows up. Okay, that shows up. So we have our ruffles on here. And I don't think, look at this, I don't think we can do anything else other than maybe put a little bit of blue highlighting on this. And I'm going to use some of this opal color I have right here. Okay, here it is right here. Bring some over in the camera for you. And I can use a little bit of blue. Now on this blue, what if we put a little bit of this blue right here, right next to this? That might look really nice. Just some little hints of blue as we're coming up off of those little highlights. Make sure you go in the direction of your flower petal. Remember, all these flowers grow right into here, so you have to get the direction right whenever you're painting them. You can add a little blue kind of like a little dry brush blue for in there. And there might be some right here. And I encourage you to give oils a try. I paint in both. I paint in oil and I paint in acrylic. They both have the good things that you really enjoy doing, and some of the other things that you might wish acrylics did or might wish oils did. So there's pros and cons on all of your painting, whether you're doing acrylic or oil. But I enjoy working with oil because that's basically how I learned was with oil painting, and anybody that's painted a long time, that's the way they painted too. Didn't have acrylics back 50 years ago that were bottle acrylics like they do today. So everybody painted in oil. That's how most of the artists, if they're an older person, you know, in their 60s or 70s, then they probably learned to paint in oil. So I still like it, and I still love to paint in oil, and I'm getting more into oil. See, so I can, here we go. And then I'll soften that back edge. There's a little ruffle here. Come around. Okay. I need to turn this sideways to get to this other side. Okay. And here. So that ruffle will stand out a little more. Okay, now soften your brush, and let's go ahead and blend. I'm blending the back edge here. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to blend and soften that back edge. I'm going to keep the sharp edge on there, but I'm going to blend the rest of this and blend it up. There you go. So now those should stand out more. Ain't all over me. So see how they stand out more now that we have added a little bit more dark behind that ruffle. Now that ruffle stands out. I could go ahead and I think I'll add a little more dark behind that one. But it's basically done, and that is how you would finish off and do your ruffles. So I hope you had a nice time learning how to do an iris. I haven't done an iris in years, I don't think. I probably did some irises, yeah, in one stroke. They had them for certification, but that was in acrylic. It wasn't in oils, so big difference. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining me, and I will have some more oils coming up with the Bob Ross. I want to go ahead and do the hydrangea one for you, so that you have all three of those little kits that you can do. And then I'll mix and match with oils and mix and match with acrylics on my YouTube channel. So I'll have a little bit of both for everyone to enjoy. But I really enjoyed working in the oils again. It's really nice. But with these extenders, you can do your wet on wet also. So anyway, thanks again for joining me, and until next time, take care and bye for now.